How to get to your shrine in the Vale at level 85. Right after you do the first couple of opening quests, make sure you learn your own flight path here. And there's a portal right there back to your home, back to Stormwind, which I took in this case. The Horde will also have a portal back. So to get to the Vale at level 85, do those couple of opening quests. And the easiest way to get to the Vale would be to have a mage teleport you. Of course it would. The second easiest way would be to have a buddy come pick you up on their two-person mount. But let's say you're an adventurer. You don't want to fly, and you're against mages and everything they stand for. Well, do your opening quest and start running north up through Jade Forest, which you can see on the map here. And we're going to run to the Valley of the Four Winds and learn a couple flight paths there, and then head up by the Black Prince. So here I'm stopping to learn the first flight path as we entered the Valley of the Four Winds. Of course there's other ways to do this too. There's legitimate ways to do this. At 87 you could take the actual quest to open up the Vale. But I was in fact feeling like an adventurer, and I wanted to make sure this could be done. Now we're going to learn the second flight path at the base of the steps up to the Black Prince. This is in the very corner of the Jade Forest by the Vale of Eternal Blossoms. The mountain to the left here is the mountain that divides the Jade Forest from the Vale. There's the Black Prince's place right there. Now this is the only tricky part. Well, actually there's a couple tricky parts. This is the first one I wasn't sure, because I had not done any quests here since 2013 when MoP came out. I could have sworn there was more mobs in here when I did the quests. I've been playing on private realms for quite a bit since then, and I hadn't done any of those quests here. But this was way easier than I thought it was. Those mobs didn't even bother me. So now I'm in Kunlei Summit, the bottom of Kunlei Summit, and I learned the flight path there. I'm going to run all the way east across the base of Kunlei Summit. You can see a flight path just to my north from this location. That flight path is not there until you do the quest at 87. To my left here is the actual entrance to the Vale. This is when you do your quest at 87 up at the White Tiger. You come down here and you will open up that actual door. That's the legitimate way to enter the Vale. Here's one of the first tricky things you do. This is actually a little quest area here, but we're not doing any of the quests. We just want access to the wall. And I wasn't sure if you could open this door up at 85, but clearly you can. You can hear the Shah of Very Angry yelling back there behind me. Now we have access to the wall on the western side of Kunlei Summit down to the western side of the Vale. So we started at the bottom of Jade Forest, ran up to the Valley of the Four Winds, then back up through the Jade Forest across Kunlei Summit, and we're going up the wall. There's a flight path right here to learn. So now we're just north of the Vale on the wall, and we'll be traveling south along the western side of the Vale. I did get turned around a couple times here on the wall because you're not sure which door to go through. These are the Watchers on the wall. Weren't the Watchers on the wall from Game of Thrones? That's where that came from, isn't it? Alright, headed south. This is the last tricky part. I'm going to be looking down on the flight path on the edge of the Vale. There's a Golden Lotus quest zone I just looked down on. I'm going to crawl around the corner here and jump down to this important flight path here. This is another way you could get to the Vale. This dungeon right here, I think this is the Gate of the Setting Sun. You could literally queue for this dungeon right there. I think it's 88. This is also the Quartermaster for level 88 gear. Yeah, you could queue for this dungeon, die in it, and res at the graveyard. If you're super lazy and kind of a dick to the people in the dungeon, you could do that. So now this is the Vale after it's destroyed, so you may not see this the way I'm seeing it. I think you'll have a lot more mobs to run through at this part. There's the Horde Shrine, and for Ally, you have to pick the correct path here. There's only one path, and it runs by this little thing right there. Yeah, and SOO's to the left. Head it to the Alliance Shrine. Make sure you learn the flight path when you get here, and I highly recommend making the shrine your home as soon as you get there, because that's where the portals are to everywhere else. There's no reason not to make your shrine your home base.